Hello everyone, I'm Prowl, and this is the beginning of your Hytale guide. Today I'll be starting with many of the settings, as there are quite a lot of important settings you may not know about in here, and this will be sort of a pre-episode for the start of our new series in an exploration world of Hytale, where I show you everything about how the survival experience in Hytale works. The game is changing rapidly, update to update, so it's possible we restart the world when there is a big enough change to game progression, but my intent is for this to be your one-stop place to learn everything that there is to know about Hytale. Now, before we jump in, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, follow on Twitch so you can catch my live streams, and use code PROWL8413 if you are purchasing Hytale to help support the channel. Thank you so much for doing that. Now, let's go ahead and dive in. Now, first thing I'll point out is my skin. I do have a custom skin. I may end up swapping to that. I'm not sure. But I like the idea of using the character creator because that's what most of you guys will do. And there's some really cool options inside of here. Now, I don't want to do a deep dive into the character creator. Honestly, it's pretty self-explanatory, but it's quite simple. You go to my avatar on the right-hand side here. You can have up to 5 presets of characters right now that you can swap between. And there's a whole bunch of different categories and subcategories to make your character look like however you want. And once you get a primary look down, it's really fun and cool to be able to go through and pick different styles, whether it be hair or clothing, and then save those as a few alternatives for your character. That way you can easily swap between, like I have my main character here and my casual version of myself right here. I would definitely love to know what your character looks like, so please join my Discord channel and drop me an image of what your character looks like in the media channel. That way I can take a look. I like to see what kind of creativity you guys have. So let's actually jump into the game settings now, and we're going to start, and I'm going to go through page by page, and I'm going to talk about most settings to some extent, especially the ones that aren't like self-explanatory. But then I'll show you the ones that I feel like need additional visual aid and put some emphasis on ones that I feel like are really important that a lot of people miss over or look over. So we do have some basic settings here. There are some languages that have been imported into Hytale already, and there are going to be more coming over time. So if you want to change your language here, you can do so. The default field of view in the game is 75. This can be scrolled upwards to give you a wider field of view at the expense of a little bit of a fisheye lens sort of view, or you can bring it down and we'll give you a more zoomed in view, but you will not have anywhere near as much peripheral vision. You can also change what shoulder you want your camera to be over when you're first person mode, right or left. Right is the default, right is what pretty much all games do, but if for some reason you wanted it to be on the left hand side, you could definitely do so. You do have the ability to turn on damage numbers. So whenever you damage an enemy, you get to see how much damage you are doing to them. And you can also turn on entity health bars too. So you can actually see how much health a mob has and how much more health it's going to take you to be able to kill them. Some people do like to have this on. I like to have it on. I like the information. Some people like to have it off because it adds a little bit of mystery to the game, not knowing exactly how much health a mob has left before it dies. So you could definitely play with this on or off, whatever your preference is. You also have display input bindings in the HUD. This will basically tell you what button you need to press to do something like open a chest or whatever. It's on by default. I guess I leave it on, especially for videos and stuff. It's good for people to be able to see it. But if you know what your controls are, you kind of know what to do, you can always turn that off. This FPS overlay was added recently. If you just want to keep an eye on what your frame rate is in game, you can do this. And then there's a lot of options to hide individual things in the HUD that go down through here. Now, this is what I really wanted to show you, block placement preview. There's 3 settings for this. There's none, all, or multi-part. So first of all, when you have it on none, you have this very faint, like grayish black outline around the block. It can be a little hard to see, but it is very out of the way. And you'll get that same outline no matter what you have in your hand. Food, lanterns, it's just whatever block that you're looking at. Now, if you change it to all, you get a full block preview anytime you have something in your hand. This actually can make building really nice and easy. It is very convenient. I usually play like this. I like it a lot. But the downside to it is it'll show a preview of anything in your hand. So if like you're carrying food that you're going to eat, like you're always going to see that plate of food down on the ground. If you're carrying a potion, anything that can be placed in some way, it's going to be shown on the ground like this. And by the way, if you're wondering about like placing something like food, if you hold down the crouch button and then like you hit the button to go eat it, that's how you place down stuff on the ground. Same thing for lanterns, almost anything pretty much. Now, if you change it to multi-part, you get the outline for everything except for stuff that takes up more than a 1 block large area. So things like the crafting stations and stuff like that, like those will show a preview. Furniture will show a preview, but nothing else will. In case you needed to see, this is what it looked like with none. If you go to place down a station, you only get to see 1 block, so you're never quite sure which way it favors. 2 block wide things will favor to the left. 4 block wide things I think will favor to the top left. So I think it'll appear here. No, it doesn't. It actually favors to the back left instead of the forward right. So it is a little bit unpredictable how it'll work. Definitely worth it at the very least to have multi-part on, if not using all like I use. Next, moving into the gameplay settings, we have auto step up. Some people like this, some people don't, but auto step up is quite simple. If you just walk up, let's put ourselves in third person view so you see a little bit better. When you walk up, you automatically step up the block with step up on. Versus with it off, it's more kind of like what I'm used to with Minecraft, where you have to jump. Personally, I hated step up in Minecraft. It didn't feel like a smooth transition. In Hytale, it feels very natural. You slow down ever so slightly when you step up like that. So personally, I like to leave it on. This is one that actually confuses people a lot. Crouch auto step down. A lot of people don't know this, but you may be used to how in Minecraft, maybe other games too, if you crouch on the edge of a block, you stay, you don't fall off. I specifically saw this in a Mumbo Jumbo video. He tested this out.
If I hold shift, can I still fall off the edge of things? I can. Right, that is a game mechanic that I'm gonna have to get used to.
And he was on just the edge of a 1 block drop off to test it, and he went down. And he was like, oh no, I guess this doesn't work in Hytale. This is incorrect. It's all based on this one setting. If you have crouch auto step down on, if it is a 1 block drop, you will still go down the block. This is great, especially if they add in some stealth mechanics in the game later. If you want to kind of stay sneaking, but you want to be able to get down a block without having to stand up and maybe make some noise, you could do that. But the way that it works is if it's a 2 block drop or higher, you will not fall off the edge. So I'm holding forward right here. I'm not falling off the edge, but if I hold it right here, I am. Again, if you turn that off, you will not fall off the edge when crouching, even when it's a single block. Here's another important one. Enable utility quick swap. This is actually going to be tied to a control. I have it bound to caps lock for me. I want to say it's Z by default. Show utility slot selector. So if you have this turned off, if you tap that button, it pulls up the radial for your offhand, where you can switch to a shield or to torches or whatever. Can go in your offhand slot, right? If you tap the button, it pulls up the radial. You click, the radial goes away. If you put it on the setting that I have it on right now, which is quick swap, let me get something in my offhand here. You can hold the button to pull up the radial and to swap, just like that. Or you can tap the button to swap. So I tapped it, I went to torches, I tap it again, I go to shield, I tap it again, I go to empty. Good button to have set that way. I personally, when I'm playing, I like to just tap. It's a lot easier than pulling up the radial. There is also a setting in the game for arachnophobia mode and ophidiophobia mode. The arachnophobia mode is, of course, to help people out with the fear of spiders. It will change spiders to look like a crab. And then the ophidiophobia mode, I'm probably not saying that right, but I tried my best. This is for people with the fear of snakes. It'll replace them with like a larva, like a caterpillar looking like mob. Keep in mind, if you set this, you do have to exit out of your world and go back in if you set it while you're in the world. So that way the change can take effect. Here's another really nice set of options you can set. It's preferred pickup locations. You can set these individual item categories to, when you pick them up, either go to the hotbar or go to the inventory. So if there's things that you know that, hey, I walk over this, I don't want it to go to my hotbar. Say you like to PvP or you're doing a lot of combat or something. You don't want blocks and miscellaneous items going to your hotbar. You could send them to inventory instead. Maybe you want everything to go to your hotbar. You can have a set like I do. Everything goes to the hotbar. You can customize this. This is a really nice option. We do have some nice options here, especially for people to get motion sick in the game. If you want to change how the POV changes and like visuals change to certain things, you could do it here. So if you don't want the FOV to change when you're sprinting, you just turn that off. If you don't like view bobbing, turn it off. Or if you want the intensity to be lower or higher, you can adjust that. Same thing with camera shake. You could turn that off or turn it lower or higher as well. The rest of the settings down here are for creative mode. I'm not going to go over those. Most of the things here in video are going to be pretty self-explanatory. For best performance on PC, you typically want to turn VSync off, turn unlimited FPS off, and turn your maximum FPS to be a little bit above whatever the frame rate of your monitor is. I want to say the frame rate of my monitor is 180. So I like to set my maximum FPS to about 200. It gives you a little bit of headway above that, but you don't need it to have wild swings even higher than that. That's going to be the optimal way to set this. Now, you have view distance here. This is in numbers of blocks. 640 works pretty good for me. I have what used to be a beefy PC about 3 years ago. It's now, a little bit older, but still decent PC. So 640 is fine for me. You can adjust this all the way down to 128 blocks, all the way up to 1,024 blocks. It's good to just kind of mess around with this a little bit to see what works best for you. Now, if you want to increase this number higher than maybe you normally would be able to, you can change render scale. The higher this number is, the sharper everything is going to be. As you lower this number, the game is going to upscale back up to that 100%, but it's not going to look as good. The further down you go with this, the more blotchy and blurry the game is going to look. I'm going to give you a very distinct side-by-side example. Here's what we look like at 100%. You can kind of see the details and the trees back there, the structure here, and the stuff close by. If I drop this all the way down to 50%, you can see everything looks quite blurry. That will get me a lot more performance though. So if you have a lower end device, these two are probably going to have the biggest impact on your performance. And start adjusting these to try to get the game to run at a stable frame rate. Now, there are other settings through here. I don't want to go over all of these specifically, but you do have settings here to adjust stuff like your world detail, quality to different things, bloom, which is like your brightness. There's descriptions on all of these. So just kind of set these according to what gives you good performance and what gives you the visuals that you like. Audio settings, also pretty self-explanatory. Set your audio output device. There's a few different modes here. I do recommend changing this off of default and put it on speakers or headphone stereo or headphones 3D audio. And of course, you do have a few volume sliders here to adjust things to be what you like. From there, we have some basic mouse settings. Nothing too crazy here, just your sensitivity. And then there's a couple of controls inside of the control section that I think are important for you to know. First of all, you can change your crouch, your sprint, and your walk behavior to be either hold or toggle, depending on which one you like. If you didn't know this, your crouch button is also your slide and your roll button. If I'm running, here, let me put myself in third person here, and I hit crouch when I'm running, I do a slide. Doesn't really have any functional use. Maybe it could be okay for PvP if somebody's trying to shoot you. That's about it. And then if you drop from a high enough height and you hit the crouch button as you're dropping, you will perform a roll, which will reduce or eliminate the fall damage that you would have taken. A lot of people don't know this. There is a button to rotate blocks. That is the R button. We'll probably cover some of this when we are playing in survival, but since it's a control option, I thought I would show you. I could take something like this tanning rack and hit the R button and rotate it. This works with blocks that are directional. It's very nice for building roofs and a lot of things when it comes to building. So that's really nice. Make sure you know about that keybind. There is a drop item button, which a lot of people don't know exists. It is defaulted, I think, to G. Honestly, I think in Minecraft, usually it's Q. I'll probably change it to Q myself because I changed my ability to a button that's bound on my mouse. I know it's like an apostrophe, but it's like my fifth mouse button that I use for my special attack. So I might change that to be a little bit more like what I'm used to. There are different camera modes. There is the C button, which will give you a front view of your character. They are actually working on some changes with that. It looks a lot better right now in preview. And then there's a V button that'll allow you to play between first and third person. I do recommend trying the third person view out. It is very good and very functional. For building, personally, I still like to use first person, but actually for combat, especially PvP based combat, which moves kind of quick, I actually like third person better. So oftentimes when I'm just normally playing or when I'm like moving around, even in PvP based matches, I'll stay in first person. But when I know I'm going to hard engage somebody, I'll actually go to third person to fight because it's a little bit easier to track them. There are several inventory container based hotkeys. they're pretty simple. If you're in a chest, if you hit the Q button, you will take everything out of the chest that goes into your inventory. If you hit the F button, it will push everything out of your inventory except for what's on the hotbar and put it in the chest. If you hit the R button, and I think I said F button, I think by default that's E. But again, I've changed a couple of my controls around. E is my like open chest button. So I've moved that button to F for me. R is your quick stack button that will just move everything inside of your inventory into a chest if that chest already has that item. And then there's T, which is the sort items button, which will sort items inside of a chest. So just to show you guys what that looks like, if I press the F button, it will move everything from here up to here. If I press the Q button, it will move everything from here down to here, except for my hotbar. Easy press of a button. If I have something inside of a chest that is inside of my inventory and I want to only move those items up, which are these three right here, if I press the R button, it will move those items up and nothing else. And actually, I'm going to show you guys a shortcut key really quick. If I hold down the shift button, hold down my left mouse button, and I drag over items, it just puts them in the chest. I don't have to individually click them. And lastly, if I want to just sort what's in this chest, if I press the T button, it will sort everything. And I believe it does it by some sort of alphabetical order, although maybe not. I don't know. Maybe it's by the ID, but it does sort them if you press the T button. Most of the other controls through here are more for creative mode with a couple of exceptions. You have your like inventory and map buttons that are right here. And I think that's it. I think everything else through here is all creative mode stuff. So here's your toggle full screen F11, take screenshot is F12, command is the backslash, HUD visibility, which is this F8 will either turn off the HUD completely except for your hands, like what's in your hand, or turn that off too. And yeah, I think that is pretty much it. So hopefully you found all of this information super helpful. I can't wait to get this actual guide world started. You guys should know what to do for here. If you enjoyed this video, press the subscribe button to the channel so you get to see more of them. Press the like button so this video gets shown to more people. If you guys would like to support the channel further, please use code PROW8413 if you're purchasing Hytale. And make sure you go over to twitch.tv/PROW8413 so you can catch my live streams, as I have moved live streams away from YouTube and am only live streaming on Twitch as of now. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate you. It's time for me to hightail out of here, and I'll see you next time in Orbis. Goodbye.